Life, life is a funny thing. Um, when I first started my channel, my very first video that I posted, ironically, this is the second video that I'm fully fleshed out making. The first video that I posted, I talked about I'd come here and I'd have serious conversations with you guys. This is one of them. And I think oftentimes people misconstrue certain things. People don't really lock in on what it is that they have to do. First and foremost, this is October 3rd, the third day of a 90-day lock-in period for yourself. For whatever reason that may be, hold yourself accountable to it. But not deviating too much off the path. What I actually want to lock in on is understanding self-growth, self-care, specifically diving into the aspect of, a lot to say, even just the thought of it itself it weighs on me. The art of letting go. Letting go is something that is very hard for a lot of us to understand, a lot of us to grasp, a lot of us to really indulge in. And letting go in that of itself is very difficult. Difficult in the way of, if you hold an object, right? For instance, this remote. It's very detrimental to me in the aspect of I use it to control my TV. Without it, I can't control my TV. So the aspect of me letting this go, very slim to none. Because without it, at most I can do is turn my TV on. I can't access pretty much anything else without this remote. Of course, nowadays, that's not how modern technology works, because you can easily, as long as it's connected to the same Wi-Fi as your phone or your internet, whatever the case may be, you log on another device like your phone and you can use that as a remote. But let's say I didn't have that, right? That would be the main thing for me. Main point of me speaking this to you all is letting go, once again, is a hard concept to follow. A perfect example is earlier this year I got into a car accident. Now, this car that I bought was money that I got, money that I was saving towards. And at this point in time that I had the accident, had it in March, happened in another state, in Chicago. It was 6 months into me having that car. Probably put about 10,000 miles on it, constantly traveling, whether that's for school stuff, personal stuff. I put the car to good use. And one night, careless mistake caused the accident. And just the thought of passing by, like, my house every day, that one parking spot that I know always did, leaving school to go to the parking lot to either go home or go to work, like, it was difficult seeing that same spot that I knew my car once was in, and not seeing the car there. What hinders the fact, or hurts me even more, is the fact that the car is in Chicago. And I say to say is, like, oftentimes we as people, that aspect of letting go is very hard for us. In terms of the car accident, leaving it in Chicago, like, that was my only option, right? And I say that's my only option because, of course, I could have paid a tow truck to come get the truck and haul it all the way over here, paying X amount of dollars. Of course, I could have found a mechanic up here that was willing to fix up my car for X amount of money. In that moment, in that point in time, it was, even though I didn't want to accept it, it was, the car is gone. And it's crazy to say, right? Because this device, this vehicle that I now use for as my main mode of transportation, was now gone. Bringing this whole thing full circle is, into much more recent times, there's a lot of things that I've been working towards. First and foremost is 10 weeks left into my semester before I officially done. I still even have to apply for graduation, which is another thing in itself. But having to bring everything full circle, right? Having to understand like what my main goal is at this point in time is to graduate. And with that comes stress in it of this self. Point blank is understanding this channel. One of its purposes is supposed to serve as my capstone project, right? That's the only thing that this is for, right? But that is one of the main purposes, because that end goal, once again, is graduating by any means necessary. And one of the things that I had to realize was I might have to drop something. Or if I don't want to drop something completely, right, I have to understand that one thing per month has to be on the back burner, whatever that is. And that was difficult for me as a person to fully understand, fully transpire, fully come to terms with, because to me that's quitting, right? Didn't grow up as a quitter, don't want to be known as a quitter, and didn't want to display any acts that could be conceived or be considered as quitting. Even expressing that out loud is heavy. Fully understanding, fully come to terms with that is heavy, right? But as someone who has a goal in mind, as someone that wants to finish, as someone who wants to walk away after these 5 years, as I'm in a 5-year program, with that degree, something had to be let go. And one thing that I want to relate to you all, one thing that I want everyone here to understand is, you have to understand, right? You are human. You are going to make mistakes. There's going to be that one thing that weighs down on you heavily. It's going to bring you down. It's going to tear you down. It's going to hold you back. But what are you doing? What can you do? And what should be done that you believe is wrong, but you know in all honesty is right for you? And I say that because once you figure out what that thing is, what exactly it is that you need to do, lock in on that. And it's funny because I had one of these situations earlier where I was disrespected. I was disrespected in a way that I was never truly honestly disrespected before. And in that moment, I felt pure anger, pure rage. And I was like, I don't need this. I don't need to take this level of disrespect. I can easily drop whatever I'm doing in order to gain more time. And by gaining more time, it now allows me to do much more other things than that one thing that I had allowed it time for. And I came to terms with myself of, one, going through those emotions, feeling the emotions, understanding like, hey, what was the true purpose of this meeting? So one thing I'm also good at is understanding like, people may direct anger towards you, but the anger is not for you. It just happens to come out towards you. Not saying that that's right? That's a whole other thing we can get into later, but that is just something that naturally happens because, once again, we are human. We all make mistakes. And I really want everyone to understand, really want you all to know is, with this art of letting go, this can apply to numerous things. In terms of that scenario, it was, one, process what you're feeling. Don't ever ignore what you're feeling. That's something that I had to recently come to terms with, is you have to process those emotions, because other than that, you're just going to become a sponge. It just constantly keeps absorbing. But one thing about a sponge is it has a limit before it can stop holding stuff, right? Don't do that. Feel your emotions. Let your emotions go. Process everything fully. And once you're able to process everything fully, assess the situation, right? And the reason why you have to process your emotions first, because you have to feel that emotional high, that emotional low, or that emotional midpoint. And once you are able to master all that, reevaluate the situation once again in a clear, calm mindset, whether that's by yourself, by journaling, by talking to someone, whether that's a peer, a sibling, a parent, someone you see as a parent, a guardian. Find that centering point and reevaluate everything. Now, kind of the last points I want to touch on or leave you guys with is you are yourself. You know what is it. You know what it is exactly that you have to do for yourself. And you have to remember that no one knows you better than you know yourself. There'll be some things that are just unexplainable to anyone else because they don't properly understand what you're feeling. There may be some things that you just do because you feel it is right for you to do. And no one has to get that but you, because you, one, have to go through those emotions, two, master that art of letting go for yourself. And that can be in many variety of different things. Like with my car. It wasn't something that I was able to let go right away. But one of the things that I knew was there was no way that I was going to have that car fixed in a day. There was no way that I was going to be able to extend my trip beyond whatever I really needed it to do, because I got into the accident on the second last day of my trip. I knew I didn't have the funds. I already knew that I had to go do something else the following week. And it was a lot. And then shifting that focus that following week to talk with the insurance company, understanding what it is that they can do for me versus what I can do about the situation as a whole, was also a lot in itself. But the true art of letting go came when I constantly kept hearing the terminology of Chicago, not even in the aspect of the car accident, but just it became everything around me. And at first I was annoyed, I was upset, and I was like, why do I have this constant reminder? Once again, I had to go through those emotions, whether that was with the car by itself, whether that was just about the understanding of Chicago as a whole, or just everything revolving around the situation. And because of that, I was able to reflect deeply and be like, what is this one thing trying to tell me? And by understanding what that one thing was trying to tell me, I was able to fully lock in. I was fully able to reflect on my life in that point in time and tell myself, hey, this is what this is trying to teach you. Life is short. Thank God no one got hurt. Thank God that you were able to walk away. Thank God you have a genuine support system that took care of you. But at the same time this is not all that you had to learn. You had to learn that you have to be in control of everything that you do, no matter what outside voices say or may have input in, because you, quite literally and figuratively, are your own driver of your own car. And bringing this to current times was another battle that I was facing, was assessing everything that I do in my life. Currently, full-time student, work about 50 to 60 hours a week on and off campus, and still have to do a capstone, right? This is including my 16 credit classes that I have to take, 1 virtual, 1 capstone, and 4 in person. All of it is a lot. It is deeply a lot, and it's draining at quite times, right? Usually morning classes. Weekends are focused on Thursday, 7 to 1, work, 2-hour break, me come home, me change to go break outside again to go to class for 3:30. 3 to 4:45 is class. After that, 15-minute break before I get 5 to 7 where I have work again. Then Thursday nights, I hang out with my friends, because that sets the tone going forward for the next 3 days, as in Friday morning, 8 to 9, class, 9 to 12, work again. Then take a quick 30-hour minute break. Then work 1 to 4, 1 to 4:30, 1 to 5, what the case may be. To travel home, to go change, to shower real quick, to be at work for 6 to 1, work. Then Saturday, working all day between 2 different jobs. Sunday, get a quick few hour breaks in between before I go into work at 5 o'clock. Like, that's a very heavy course loaded weekend schedule, really centered around work for almost 48 hours in itself, right? It's a lot. It's a lot for one person to process. And I kept thinking to myself, I have to drop one thing that is non-essential. One thing that I can genuinely live without to help me move on. And I weighed heavily. And I came to the senses of, going through those emotions, one. But two, what is it that I really need to let go of? Do I need to let go of one of these jobs? Or do I need to do I need to let go of the fact of me not being able to submit stuff in on time? Me not being able to fully sit down and have more time to myself? Or, quite honestly, was me not being able to sit down and just being by myself to process certain things without worrying about anything else. And this morning I was going to work and I was like, I'm going to request leave of absence. I'm going to put that in today. And got in today, the HR person wasn't there. And I was like, you know what? Let me go throughout the day. Because that's not the only person I can talk to about putting that in. But that is definitely one person I wanted to talk to about putting it in. Going throughout the day, it was good. It was calm. Then I went to our morning huddle. We talked about the benefits. And I was like, this is the one thing that I wanted to lock in on. And this is one thing that I'm going to lock in on. And I knew for a fact that I had to, right? I had to lock in on this one thing because this is setting me up for the future. This is setting me up for future generations that I want to build. And I have to take advantage of that. That led me to understanding that everything that I felt about taking that leave of absence wasn't necessary in that moment. It is good that I feel that way. I'm glad that I was able to recognize that, but now I know what it is I have to do to move on from that. In close, I will challenge you all, honestly and truthfully, to lock in on what it is that you need to do, right? Set a goal, set a systems for yourself, and really lock in, really engage, really come to terms with what is that one thing that you need to let go of, right? One thing that's been weird. Lock in on that one thing that's really been weighing down on you for an extended period of time. And really assess, go through those emotions first, however that may be, as that is very critical. And tell yourself, what do I truly need to let go of? Is it exactly this thing that I'm feeling, or the subject around this thing that I am feeling? And those are two different things that only you can differentiate from. And only you can assess what exactly is important to you, not anyone. This is heavy. One of my heavier things that I didn't necessarily think I would be talking about right away, but I'm glad I got this off my chest, right? This is what this channel was about. This is what I want you guys to lock in on. And I really want everyone to be able to gain something from this, right? And as much as I make this content out there for my capstone, as much as I make this content out for being able to start a YouTube channel again for the third time and be able to give back to the community, I really make this stuff for myself, right? I need to track my growth. I need to be able to track something. And one thing I told myself was, let go of how you're feeling. Let go of that nervousness. Let go of not having enough confidence. Let go of not wanting to continuously put yourself out there. Because whether you like it or not, your name is already out there. And it's already tied to a bunch of things. Why not control the narrative that it is? And this is in the form of a self-growth journey. B Squad, love kicking it with y'all. Love keeping it real. And we're going to continue to have these conversations. We're going to continue to not shy away from these things. And lastly, we're going to continue to keep it honest with ourselves. Y'all have a blessed night. It's legit 12:17. I just wanted to come here, get this on my chest before I go to bed. But love y'all. Keep it real. Inspire, uplift, and become. Thank y'all.